Savage Dragon 103 from September of 2002. If This Be Doomsday, featuring Dragon and Sun fighting side by side on what's called here the most misleading cover ever. Certainly one of the most consequential issues of Savage Dragon. No hyperbole there. It is indeed Doomsday, for some. On to the credits. Eric Larson, writer-artist, Chris Eliopoulos, letterer, Ruben Rude, colorist, and Josh Eckhorn enjoys the thrill of carrying a pair of genuine prehistoric fossilized man-eating shark teeth. I don't think that's a reference to anything, so I'll assume it to be a factual statement. So last we left off, issue 102, Mother Mayhem heralded the arrival of Universo, the Devourer of Worlds, an apocalyptic event threatening not just one planet, but all versions of Earth simultaneously. Let's start with Malcolm and Angel, back on the OG Image universe. Their escape vehicle accidentally shot down by Battle Tank, aka Rex Dexter, seen here in the suit of armor. Also, John Day fans, celebrate. We got a cameo of our guy here on page 1. That's a rarity. Anyways, the kids look on as Rex Dexter goes to face this impossibly large villain, more of a force of nature. Larson getting very poetic in his captions here, describing the behemoth, digging his fingers into the soil of the condemned planet, skyscrapers crumbling in between his fingers. Just an incredible image of destruction here. So obviously the military is called in, jets flying in blasting, but the entire squadron is just vaporized in a single glance. They try nuking the dude, but that don't work. Meanwhile, the kids, Dragon, Angel, and Janie, they're looking for help in Rex Dexter's lab, and they may have just found it, but it might be too late. So shit really starts to go south here, man. The SOS, maybe Earth's last hope, burnt up in a fireball. The entire surface of the planet just turns to molten lava. And then just before the explosion, we see the kids getting tossed into a portal to Dimension X by Wildstar and his friends. So that's not specified here, but it's worth mentioning because that's Wildstar, and he goes into Dimension X as well. Before the complete destruction of planet Earth. Holy smokes. Our planet, just another meal for Universo. You see him flying off there, led by a tiny version of Mother Mayhem. Man, just a total gut shot right out of the gate. The world the Dragon called home. All the friends we met along the way for those first 75 issues. Everybody gone in a single moment. This definitely uncomplicates things a little bit. One less world to worry about. Though, unless Dragon faces the same fate on the Savage World. So once again, we get 2 stories for the price of 1. Will Dragon have better luck than Rex Dexter did earlier? And I love this. So we get the same shot in both stories, really exemplifying the parallel narratives to great effect. So Dragon's first plan is to reach out to his old pal, Vanguard, and have him release their prisoner, Cyberface, figuring he could use this guy to use his power to take out Universo here. But unfortunately, Vanguard and Wally reveal that Cyberface was killed while he was in their custody. So you remember issue 96, and Wally had no choice but to kill Cyberface, but that's not what Dragon wanted to hear. But it's no time to bitch and moan. They grab every weapon they can from the lab. They take off in Dragon's flying car. And if things couldn't get any more similar to the Fantastic Four, the Liberty League here have an ultimate nullifier of their own. And this ain't no puny pea shooter. This is a gigantic freaking gun that takes 3 heroes to operate. And they fly it up to a fatal height and fire this thing as Universo leaps towards them, destroying the weapon as it's fired. Or maybe it's catastrophic failure, but whatever it is, the gun explodes, sending the 3 heroes plummeting to the ground. Dragon and Jennifer, they swoop down to rescue Battle Tank and Super Patriot, but Mighty Man just crashes down at terminal velocity, hopefully surviving that fall. Anyway, so Dragon is almost out of ideas, and then Angel suggests the old reliable Martian shrinking ray. And it's worth a shot. So Dragon fires a hell of a blast out of this thing as at Universo's outstretched hand, but then he tips over the aircraft, Dragon falling out, while Universo appears to be shrinking. So sure enough, man, Dragon lands at the feet of a diminished devourer of worlds. And he does what he does best, which is beat the shit out of this dude. This motherfucker may have the power cosmic, but a ground and pound is too much for this punk. Anyway, he gets left laying at the feet of the Liberty League, celebrating their victory. Now, some fans write in disappointed by the Martian shrinking ray solving Dragon's problems once again, but I don't have any issue with it. I thought it was pretty clever. Anyway, the good guys win. Dragon and Jennifer decide to get married after surviving all this craziness, though it upsets Angel, who has had enough of all this sci-fi madness. Speaking of which, that just leaves the reveal of Malcolm and Friends lost in Dimension X, Glum World, menacing the background there. So what an issue. I said it was consequential, but this is one of the most defining events of the comic here. A hugely important issue that I enjoyed greatly. On to Fanatics. Relatively short this issue, just 4 pages. But some interesting letters nonetheless. Like this one from Joe Torcivia, who says, "Thank you for continuing to present the best letter column in all of comics. This is especially meaningful now that DC has done away with theirs. And if I may editorialize for a moment, no internet message board can take the place of a traditional letter column in terms of participation and permanence. So keep these letter pages flying or turning or whatever they do." So Larson replies, Well, I tend to agree on the importance of regular letter columns. As it is nice to talk with the fans online, these forums are temporary at best and will be replaced with new messages from new readers. A letters page in a printed comic is a permanent part of any given issue. And there's something really well special about getting your words in print and forever being attached to a specific issue. I think Marvel and DC both are giving up something by ditching their papers and packing in more, or ditching their letters pages and packing in more advertisements, end quote. So obviously I agree with most of that here, considering I'm reading these every week. And I've even been published in this very letters page. So we'll get there at some point. Next, there's a letter here by Mikey Crotty from Dublin, Ireland. So Mikey, who does have a comic book YouTube channel, or he used to, I'll check the description there. This dude helped work on the Savage Dragon Compendium. And Larson replies, "Thanks for all your efforts in making the Savage Dragon, not Compendium, Companion, the Savage Dragon Companion, the bitching book that it became. I've got a number of incredibly talented and devoted enthusiasts out there, and being able to work with some of you on this project was great fun. We'll have to do it again sometime." So the Savage Dragon Companion was like a Cliff Notes version of the first 100 issues of Savage Dragon. Summaries of each issue, plus the spin-offs. You get character bios and just a whole bunch of stuff. Really, really handy sort of thing. But I'll tell you what ended up as the most valuable resource is the wiki on savagedragon.com. That website has continued and expanded the work that was done for this book. And it's where I get most of the information for this show when I'm cross-referencing like which character was in which issue. Pretty helpful. Anyway, next is Comic Bits by Chris G. Russo. Another funny strip, pretty good stuff. Followed up by a preview of Fire Breather, written by Phil Hester and Andy Kuhn. Both of those dudes are still working today. Looks pretty good, but I'll admit I did not read the Fire Breather series. So last month we had a preview for Invincible and now Fire Breather. Image Comics really trying to market this new superhero line by Robert Kirkman. And and some of these characters even cross over in a few issues here. That's an old comics gimmick there. You want to heat up a character, you throw them in a crossover in a more successful book. Though successful is kind of a relative term. These are some dark days for the comics industry. But cheer up. It's Christmas. We got the Low Blow Christmas Spectacular by Nick Darrington and Brian Blake, to be specific. Another funny, timely comic strip featuring a motley crew of Dragons Rogues Gallery. And these assholes, they set Santa Claus and his reindeer on fire, so that's a disaster. Pretty useful advertisement for the Savage Dragon trade paperbacks there and the collected hardcovers. So you got 8 books in total that would give you the complete story of Savage Dragon, starting with Baptism of Fire and ending with This Savage World, plus all the team-ups and stuff. So I did the math. It's about $130 for all these books together, which is a pretty damn good deal for all that. Definitely cheaper than buying the single issues. Just leaves in another advertisement, this one for the first annual Emerald City Comic Con, February 9th, 2003. The Seattle Comic Convention, that's still going 20 years later. Larson doing the poster art for this inaugural event, as well as making an appearance alongside John Cassidy, a young Jim Mafood. We got Greg Rucka, Steve Scroce, and more. Looks like fun. Anyway, here's a look at issue 104. We got another wedding issue. All right. Let's see how that goes next time. Adios.